Good morning and welcome to Seeds of Hope with Dell and Penny. And we are here, Seeds of Hope, to bring you hope for today, tomorrow, and always. And we are here live this morning, 11 o'clock on Vero's Voice magazine. But you can find us on our page, which is Seeds of Hope, and also on our websites, dellbates.com and pennycookauthor.com. Penny with the E. And this morning I am here still in Michigan and Penny is in Florida. So I welcome you, Penny, this morning. Good morning, Penny. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And we have a special guest today.
Yes, we do.
My old friend, Lisa Montoya. I have known Lisa since she was a baby, actually.
Aw.
Yeah, your mom started coming to our church when you were just a baby.
Yeah.
So I've watched her grow up, and she is a wonderful girl. And we're going to talk about adoption today. And
Mm.
if you think that that topic doesn't apply to you, let me just give you a couple of verses, because we are all adopted if we are
Mhm.
believers in Jesus Christ. Uh, I will be a father to you, God says, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. Um, God sent his son to redeem those under the law, that we might
Mhm.
receive adoption as to sonship. Um, the spirit you received brought about your adoption. The
Mhm.
God has adopted us in his family. And
Mhm.
isn't it beautiful that he defends the cause of the fatherless? That's in Deuteronomy. And in him, the fatherless find compassion. He sustains the fatherless. It's God's plan that not only just as he has adopted us, but he has set some of us um, to adopt those in this life that are fatherless or motherless. And Lisa is one of those.
Mhm.
The reason we thought to do that is because in Vero's Voice magazine this month, there is a review that we did on the movie Life Mark. And if you
Mhm.
haven't seen that movie, definitely look for it streaming now. Came out in the theaters the beginning of September,
Mhm.
and it did really well. It's about adoption. It was inspired by a documentary that had been
Mhm.
done called I Live on Parker Ave, and you can find that at ilivedonparkerave.com, and you
Mhm.
can watch it for free. But it's about a boy that was adopted, and how he ends up finding his birth parents. And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful story. And like I said, it did well. It was Fathom Events' largest um, opener of the year. And after 1 week, theaters actually asked to have
Mhm.
it another week. So that's a real testimony when you have a Christian film.
Right.
Even Rotten Tomatoes gave it good reviews.
That's
And
really
And
Anyway,
the documentary, now I watched the documentary, but I didn't see the movie.
mm,
And it was so, I mean, you just sat there with tears
yeah,
because it was Kirk Cameron
yeah,
who heard the story and
mhm,
just thought this needs to be a movie. And I
yes,
mean, you're seeing the actual people
yeah,
that are playing in the
right,
documentary, the boy who
yeah,
really, was adopted and found his mother. And I mean, it's just interesting because I've seen the documentary, Penny's seen the movie.
mm,
So we encourage you, either one or the other, to
yeah,
really go see. And God will open your eyes to something, especially adoption that
mm,
some of us never walk through or are experienced with.
right.
But we're lucky that we have Lisa on,
Yes.
who is right there in the forefront of this, the adoption process.
Yeah.
So, so Lisa, how about you tell us a little bit about you and who you are and
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up, like Penny said, I grew up in South Florida, lived my whole life there. And even as a young kiddo, I always had a heart for other kids, and primarily kids who maybe other people would view as difficult or harder to love, whether that was the special needs community, or just kids in my school who didn't really have as many friends. Those tended to be the people that I was attracted to. And so as I went into college at Florida Atlantic University, I decided to major in special education and got my degree there, and also met my husband Matt while I was in college. We got married in 2013 and stayed in South Florida for a year, and then relocated here to Jacksonville, Florida, where we still are now,
oh,
for
okay.
his work. So we've been here for a while. We have two biological kiddos. They are 6-year-old boy-girl twins, Levi and Remy. Uh,
Mm,
we actually experienced a year of infertility when we were getting ready to start our family. And as two young individuals, we never really expected to cross that bridge. But we did, and we went through a round of IVF, and we're super, super blessed to get pregnant our first round with twins. And so they were born in 2016. And then about 2 years after that is when I started to kind of get the itch again for another baby. And the conversation slowly changed kind of from, do we want another biological child, or do we feel like God is calling us somewhere else? Adoption had always been a topic that we had talked about even pre-marriage, and something that had been on my heart. And so it was really a matter of if it was now or if it was going to be later. And so we decided that it was going to be then, that we were going to be done with biological children. And we explored a lot of options. We explored domestic, international, and foster care. And the Lord clearly led us to foster care through
mm,
just some people that we had spoke with, just some stories that we had heard. We just felt a really strong calling there. And I can clearly look back and see that the things that had happened as a child for me growing up, and just kind of my desire to love those that maybe are more difficult to love, is God was shaping foster care in my heart that
uh,
entire time. And so we started our foster care journey in 2018, and we are still in it.
So, how did your husband respond? Because foster care was on your heart
mm,
first, right?
right.
Yes. Yes, and we get asked this question a lot, and Matt will happily tell everyone that I dragged him along for about the first.
It's usually the case.
Yeah, yeah, and it was not that he was ready for more kiddos, for sure. He was naturally scared of foster care, and he was had just some reservations as the provider and protector of our household, of what that looked like for me and for our other kids in the home. And so we spent a lot of time, talking and praying about it. But we actually went to an information meeting. That was like my stepping point. I was like, let's just go to an information meeting. You don't have to commit. Like, let's just go and see how this thing goes. And so he agreed to do that. And truthfully, we left the information meeting, and I was more hesitant than I had been going
Wow.
into it. I was like, gosh, this, at the information meeting, they kind of threw everything at you to make sure that you are prepared. And so some of those stories they
Wow.
shared were hard to hear, and some of the things that people experienced. And as, a mom and as a woman, our heartstrings it's a little more tug at the heartstrings for me, hearing kiddos that, reunified after years and years of someone caring for them. Or kiddos that reunified and it was a huge celebration, and then months later they were back in the system, but unfortunately couldn't go back to the family they had been with. And so but I, being the kind of stubborn person that I am, was not going to tell him that I was hesitant. And so I was like, he will get in the car and be like, absolutely not, there's no way we're doing this, and then I'll just kind of follow suit. So we got in the car, and I was like, so what do you think? And he was like, I mean, it's going to be hard. He's like, but there is no way we can walk away from this now after being.
Wow.
I was like, okay, God, you heard my
Wow.
prayers, but like, here we go. So yeah, from that day, there was really no looking back. We jumped right into the initial round of classes that were
Wow.
required in the training process, and yeah,
That's awesome. It's awesome that he came around even stronger than you at that point.
Yeah.
yeah, he did
It's
for sure.
especially because you were the one that first had the desire.
Mm,
And then it was like kind of like God worked on both of you, you know?
Yeah,
Wow.
he definitely showed me some realism and was like, hey, this is going to be harder than maybe you are expecting. But he lit the fire under Matt for sure to
mm.
carry us to the
Wow.
finish line.
So what followed then? So where did
Yeah, so we finished our classes at the end of 2018
Mhm,
and opened our home immediately for placement. At the time, we had decided that we would only accept one child and that we wanted to keep birth order.
mhm,
So at the time, our biological kids were 2.5. So we had requested that the child be younger than that. And truthfully, that was just from like my own research and talking with other foster families who had recommended that. I didn't really have any like strong reasoning behind that. Besides that, most people told us that was like the healthiest option, and so that's what we did. And the first 5 months, we did not have any permanent placement, which was kind of shocking for us because you
wow,
hear about
5
such a
months.
need in foster care, but it really does like ebb and flow. We have seen months where no kids come into care and it's a huge praise. And we have seen months where just last week in our agency, we had 36 kids come into care.
Wow.
And so it really just fluctuates.
Mm,
It was a weird waiting spot because we were longing for a child and to love on someone, but at the same time, like while you're
uh,
longing for a baby, you're not longing for someone to be removed from their family. And so we were just really tried our best to be patient and prayerful through that process. And so in May of 2019, we got the call for a 5-month-old little boy who we said yes to.
uh,
He is now our forever son who we adopted in
uh,
August. And so that's also not the norm that the first kiddo that comes into your house is going to be there forever. But we have no doubt that that was exactly who God intended for our family. And so
and what was he was 5 months old?
he was 5 months old.
Okay.
We didn't adopt him until this August. So he's about to turn 4. So it was a long time, 3.5 years
Wow.
him being in foster care. And throughout that process of case plans and court dates, our situation looked a little bit different. His biological parents did not have any contact with him or us when he was in care. That was court ordered from the state that they were to have no contact. And so we never got to have the opportunity to form bio-parent relationships, which was something that we were eager and excited to do. But for the safety of the children, that was not in their best interest. And so, but about a year into Jude living with us, we got a call from our licensing agency that said, hey, we just found out that bio mom is pregnant and we would like to know if you would accept placement of the new baby in about 2 months is what we were expecting. And so again, we talked about it. It wasn't really a question. It was just a matter of letting everyone know that that's what was happening. And so
Wow.
um, he surprised us and came a little bit early. And so a week later, he was born
Wow.
and came straight home from the hospital into our arms. So in the
Oh
height
my
of
gosh.
April of 2020, so it was a little bit of a wild time. But we loaded up the entire family and drove to Ocala and picked him up from the hospital.
Wow.
And he has been with us ever since. And the boys were able to be adopted on the same day this August, so it was extra special.
Wow.
So you have twins, 2 twins, boy and girl,
Yeah.
and they are what, 7 now?
6.
Oh, 6, okay. And then you have now the newborn.
So Jude is 3 now,
Okay.
4, and Finn is 2.
Oh my gosh. You've got your hands full.
Cool.
We do, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
wow.
beautiful. I wanted to touch on something you said. Um, I don't know, you said the number 36.
Yeah, that
What what was that?
that was kids coming into care, into foster care in a matter of a week in
Okay.
our area. So our
Wow.
agency here services about 5 counties surrounding Jacksonville,
Uh-huh.
and that's how many kiddos were in need of a foster family.
Well, it was interesting because some of the statistics that I found is that it's estimated that 1 to 2 million couples in the US are waiting to adopt a baby, which
Wow.
which can take anywhere from 2 to 7 years. And that it's said that for every baby placed in adoption, there are 36 couples waiting to adopt.
Yeah,
Think
Wow.
about that. There's so many people waiting for a baby.
yeah,
Oh,
and that's kind of the difference in you know domestic adoption, and having that strong desire for just a newborn, and then foster care where it's really the opposite. We have more
mm,
kids coming into care than we have homes with
yeah,
to welcome
So
yeah.
them.
was it different for you? So one was given to you as a new birth, right in your arms, and the other was, so how old was he when you first,
5
that was Jude, 5 months. So was there a difference for you in adjusting, like with newborn to five? I mean, 5 months is still little,
Yeah.
but newborn is just, was there a difference there for
So
you?
there was, in the fact that we just didn't know what the first 5 months of life looked like for Jude. And so I had
Mhm,
all of these questions that I would have loved to talk to his mom and
Yeah,
like, what's his sleep schedule like, and does he have a favorite formula, and
mm,
how much does he eat, and is there a certain way you soothe him to go to bed, and just
yeah,
things that by 5 months old you have developed with your baby.
right,
yeah,
right.
We didn't, we didn't know any of the answers to those questions, and didn't have a way of getting them. And so, um, to me, it was more difficult, just
Mhm.
like on my heart, because I felt for him that, I was constantly questioning everything I did, and it's like, is this
Yeah.
the right way? We the first 3 nights that he was with us, he didn't really sleep at all,
mm,
which
Aw,
to be expected. His environment changed, and a lot of things had been different for him. And it took me 3 nights to finally realize that our house was too cold for him, given the
aw,
environment that he had lived in the last 5 months. He did not have air conditioning, and so I switched him to fleece jammies in the middle of May,
aw,
and he slept like a rock star. And so there's just
wow,
things like that that you just wouldn't expect. And lots of people who are not trauma informed will tell you that babies, even as young as him, 5 months old, or newborns, the good thing about babies is they don't have trauma, and that's why
uh-huh,
we see so many people lined up to adopt a newborn, because there's the idea that there's no trauma there. And in fact, there is, because that baby has spent 9 months in the womb. Even if that was a very healthy pregnancy and there was nothing traumatic as far as substance
right,
or anything going on, that baby bonded with their mother's
with
voice.
their mom, yeah,
And so there's definitely still trauma even as
wow,
a young
mhm,
kiddo. And having a 3.5-year-old now, we are still working through large trauma behaviors that
wow,
came from his first 5 months of life.
mm,
well, I
it
have to say, one of the things I noticed and I liked is, Lisa has a awesome, Instagram, if you wanna share what
mm,
that is.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's the and then Jantoya, Jantoyas. It is two family
Uh-huh,
last names blended together.
tell us about that.
Yeah, yeah. So we about a year and a half ago, we accepted placement of a teen in foster care. Something that, as you know from the beginning of my story, was nothing that was on our radar. We had always said younger, but the right opportunity fell in our arms, and we decided to be bold. Our pastor, something he always says at church is feel the fear and do it anyway. And so that is
Mm,
wow,
most definitely what we did. We were fearful, but we knew that it was the right thing to do. And so I did not have many other friends in my friend circle that had teenagers. Most everyone that we are around in our small group at church, our neighborhood, have little kids. And so our agency connected me with another foster family who has teens, but also has little ones, because that's a fine balance to raise kiddos of all different ages under one roof and make sure that everyone's needs are met and that they all have opportunity to do special things for them. And so I met Elizabeth and her family and quickly fell in love with them, and our two families became fast
Wow.
friends. It's really special for all of our, she has biological children as well. So for your biological children to have other friends who are also doing life as a foster family
Mhm.
is huge for them, because it's not just a commitment that Matt and I made, it's a commitment that our whole family made.
Yeah.
And the kids are, just as involved in the welcoming of new people and the heartbreak of saying goodbye. And so having people in their corner who get it and understand it at their age level has been really great. And so we just decided that we had lots of people that would reach out and ask questions about all things foster care and adoption, and we decided to kind of create one place to
That's
be able to
awesome.
answer questions and share, and not just always give statistics. Like, those are important, but I think it's good to see like the nitty gritty of what day-to-day life looks like doing this on the ground. So
Hmm.
So how have your kids responded?
Yeah.
yeah, so truthfully, they have done really, really well. Starting them at a young age, I think, was helpful, because this has kind of just become the norm
Mhm.
for them. There are many parts of foster care and adoption that they understand, and people would be surprised to hear them talk about it at such a young age. There's obviously still parts that they don't quite get. Like, our daughter will, if we drive past a hospital, she'll say, "Mommy, can you stop in and see if they have a sister for me?"
Oh my gosh.
That's not really how it works, baby. But I
Yeah.
say, well, that's how it worked with brother. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it appeared to be. But they are always asking when the next kiddo can come. They're
Aw.
always figuring out ways that they can make space in their
Wow.
home for people.
Aw.
I've just found too that they are more accepting and loving of everyone around them. They
Wow.
recognize when kiddos are having a hard day that maybe they don't come from the same place that we do, and maybe life can look a little bit harder, or if someone looks different from them physically, or maybe
Mhm.
doesn't have the same type of clothes that we have. They just have become more understanding and
Mhm.
empathetic. I'll always be truthful in telling people that it's hard on them. We've gone through losses in our home where kiddos have left, and they feel that immensely, and there's heartbreak and grief in that. But kids are so resilient, and
Aw.
they are I think much more gracious than we are as adults, and
Aw.
can move on quickly and still love hard the next time an opportunity comes around.
Wow.
So do you think there's a sister for little Remy? Kind of outnumbered with all these boys?
She is very outnumbered, and she lets us know that all the time. So
That's cute.
our foster license is currently on hold, so we are not accepting permanent placement through foster care right now. We are opening our home to respite, just to give other families a little bit of a relief when they need it, because we have been in the situation, especially with a teen in our home, where we needed some breaks. And so we're just trying to bless other families in that way right now. But we actually, this will be first time public news of sharing this. Our family and close friends, we have not publicly shared that we have been put on the registry for the National Down Syndrome Adoption Network. And so our
Wow.
family is pursuing a domestic Down syndrome adoption. And so we are just waiting, and we don't know when that will be for God's timing. We don't know if it'll be a brother or sister. As much as Remy's pulling for a little sister, we told her that it'll be God's plan for what will happen in our family. But that is that's kind of where our heart is leading us to next.
Wow. And I'm not surprised, because Lisa has always had a heart for special needs.
Wow. I was sharing this with Lisa before we started, that as I was preparing for this and reading, I went to your Instagram page, I was looking there, and I just kept hearing the word heart. And so I was asking her, okay, I'm not sure how to go about this. What is God saying? But as I listen to you, what I see is God's given you a special heart.
Mhm.
And I was thinking back of the movie, Who is the Horse? What's the movie, The Horse Race? The one,
Yeah.
and he won the race. Oh gosh,
Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit, yes. And they were wondering how he won and what was different about him. And it was when he died, wasn't it? And his heart, he had like a special heart. Was it twice the size or something to it? There was something it's like, Lord, help me. But that's what I see is God's given you. Everyone can't do what you do. And
Mm,
that's why adoption, like Penny read the scriptures in the beginning about adoption. God has that heart for us. He has like the Father's heart to
mm,
adopt us as his children, to give us his son. But he's given you, Lisa, a special heart
mm.
to do what you are doing, and
Been
sometimes,
evident in her since she was really little.
wow, because you knew her then. Isn't that awesome?
Mhm.
Wow. But
Yeah,
that's why we're all so
really special.
uniquely created. The Creator has made all of us, but he's uniquely made each one of us.
Mm.
Wow.
But how
So,
cool to think that he gave you his heart,
yeah, yeah.
he adopts us, and he's given you that heart to adopt.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
how can people get involved, Lisa? You mentioned respite, and that's certainly one way, but
Yeah. So I know, Penny, I was actually listening I've listened to a few of the podcasts that you guys have done. And a couple weeks ago, I think you shared about, you were talking about service and volunteering, and you talked about
mm,
this whole body kind of approach. Someone's the hands and the feet and the eyes.
Right,
And that is very much foster care, because not
mm,
everyone is called to be a foster
right,
unit or a
right.
foster home. But if we're believers, we are all called in the Bible to take care of the orphans and the widows. And so
mhm,
there's so many ways that you can wrap around a foster family
yeah,
and be those extra pieces for
Mm,
them, whether that's meals, whether, meals when you have a new placement, welcoming a new kiddo into your home, the first couple weeks
mm,
are a big adjustment, whether they are a baby and you're not sleeping at night, or they are a 7-year-old who is experiencing immense trauma because they've just been ripped away
mhm.
from everything they know. It's a difficult
Yeah.
adjustment period. So, meals during that time, meals during court dates are huge. Court dates are a little mentally exhausting. And oftentimes we're traveling for those. And so, meals
mhm,
for that time is great. Um, Opportunities to, if you are someone close to a family that you have a relationship where you would feel comfortable, taking some of their kiddos on a special date
Mm,
or a special event or something, being able to really praise and acknowledge the biological kids in the home.
mhm,
Foster kiddos get a lot of visits during the month. So whether that's a caseworker or a guardian ad litem or a licensing specialist coming into the home and specifically spending time with and talking to them, and
mhm,
a lot of times, and unintentionally on any of the workers' parts, but they bring things to make the visit more comfortable. And so they bring toys and they bring treats and they bring whatever. And then, you have other biological kids in the home who are feeling a little bit left out. And
yeah.
especially when they're at a young age, it's hard for them to understand,
Mhm,
why those things are happening. So we
mm,
have had so many sweet families who have said, like, hey, I know you have a caseworker visit next month. Can I pick up Levi and Remy and take them to the playground and to get ice cream while
mhm,
your kiddos are doing that, so that they
mm,
can be acknowledged too. So that, I think is tremendous. Yes, babysitting. There's a misconception that you have to be licensed in some sense to babysit for a foster family. That is kind of old school way of thinking. There's
Oh,
new laws
wow.
in place that are called the Normalcy Act, and it allows anyone to watch children in foster care as long as it's under 72 hours. So, for example, if I'm going out of town and I would prefer that the kids stay with, my parents or Matt's parents rather than have to go into another foster home for 2 days, you're allowed to do that under normalcy because it promotes more of a natural family environment.
Mhm,
So those are things that people are able to do and step in. And of course, that the most important is just, if you know a foster family, like, let them know that you see them, let
mhm,
them know that you're praying for them, because anytime we step out and do something different than the norm, it can become isolating. And so we've
Wow.
seen that over the course of the years. We can now joke a little bit about it because we have found our village, but we've had friends, unfortunately, that have slowly pulled away from our family because it's a lot to invite a family with 4 kids, and it's a lot
Yeah.
to invite a kiddo with trauma to your son's birthday party when you know they might have a meltdown. And so
Right.
people slowly kind of pull away, and so it can feel isolating. So if you're there to support them, just let them know that.
Yeah. Such
I
good
have a
advice.
question. So do you see it getting easier? Is the road getting a little bit easier for you from beginning to?
It is. It's different. So as each new kind of development and milestone happens, we see new things in trauma kind
Mhm.
of emerge. And so I do always encourage people who are getting into foster care who say, "Well, I just want little ones. I
Uh-huh.
find them, like they're great and we love them. We wouldn't have it any other way." But you can't see their trauma and you don't know what it's going to look like sometimes
Wow.
until much later. Where when we had a teen in her home, we knew the second she stepped in our door exactly what her trauma looked like. And
Mhm.
she was able to tell us, "Hey, I'm going to do this when I feel this way, and I'm going to have a hard time with this when this happens." And because she was able to process it. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times it's a guessing game of what's bothering us and what might be difficult in a certain situation. And so new places and new people are still difficult for our 3.5-year-old. He still struggles with that and feeling safe in adult relationships. And so that's something that we are kind of constantly working on. But as far as our village and our community, the people that have stepped up and chosen to walk alongside of us, that has made the world of difference. It feels like no matter how hard things get in our house, knowing that we have those people in our corner has truly made a difference for us.
Mhm. Wonderful.
Wow.
So, Lisa, if anybody wanted to follow you, give us some ways that we can follow your journey and find you.
Yeah, so the Instagram page that I shared about, so the Jantoyas, that would be the best way to follow along with us. I have a personal Instagram page too, which is just my name, Lisa Montoya, that you can see a little bit more of just our kind of personal journey. We have chosen to be open about foster care and adoption because we think that it
Mhm.
allows other people to see what it looks like and
Mhm.
feel free to ask questions. And so that's kind of why we've chosen to share our story.
Wow.
Well, my timer just went off.
Aw. Wow, it's been so interesting, because it's opening up an avenue that, like I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. So, but to listen to where you've brought um your own biological and then added the other children, it's, just very interesting to hear your journey through this and what you've gone through. So, wow, I just thank you for being available to share with us, especially since Penny's just, done the article, which is awesome. I encourage everyone to read it. It talks all about the movie, and then to watch the movie and the documentary and, you know, open up avenues that maybe you've never even thought about, or for anyone who is considering it,
Mhm.
just what, you know, to help pave the way for someone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just really encourage listeners to get involved somehow, even if it
Mm.
is just prayer. I don't mean to say
Yeah,
just prayer,
just for
but
yeah.
if you can't do something hands-on, we can
Mhm,
always pray.
mhm,
James 1:27 says, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress."
mhm,
We all know orphans and widows. Uh,
mhm. The heart of the Father.
there's needs all around us. So,
Mhm,
really encourage you to get involved. And if you have questions, you can find Lisa, as she said, on her social
mhm.
media. And so we just encourage you with that. The magazine article that we're referring to is on the Lifemark movie, and that's
Right.
on Vero's Voice magazine, verosvoice.com. You can find the magazine there. It's a free magazine. It's an awesome magazine. So I encourage you to go and read it and check out that movie. Next week, we actually have another mother and daughter that the mother had given the daughter up for adoption and they found each other. So tune in next week and hear about that.
That was
And
special.
Del, go ahead and give them how they
Give
can
'em-
find us again.
Give them how they can find us. They can find us on Penny's website, which is pennycookauthor.com. Penny with the E.
Not
And
Penny with
mine
an
is
E. Not Penny with an E. Cook with an
Cook
E.
with the E.
Sorry.
Cook with the E. I'm looking at the name right there and I'm saying Penny with the E. Or delbates.com. And on Vero's Voice magazine on Facebook, or our Facebook page, which is Seeds of Hope. And I was also going to say, is the Vero Voice map, Vero's Voice now has an app, which we're all familiar with the app. So you just download the app, and then there's Vero's Voice, and under podcasts, you can find Seeds of Hope. So there's many ways either to watch us or to get on your exercise bike or go for a walk. And
Listen,
isn't that awesome nowadays how we can do that? We can take it with us wherever we go.
I know, Lisa, you mentioned that you had listened to some of our past shows. How does someone with that many kids have the time?
Find the time.
Must be good at multitasking.
Car rides are my best time. I
Okay.
can pop podcasts or listen to things in the car, and that is
Uh-huh.
normally that's when I get phone calls done and everything. So you guys are lucky that I'm not in the car today, because
Well, we
All
just
right.
thank you so much for taking the
Yeah.
time to come on, Lisa.
Yes, with your
Thank you for
busy,
having
busy
me.
family and life and kids, and thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Thank you.
you.
Was
Guys,
there
Alright.
anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to say?
I think we covered a lot of it, but like I said, I'm always thinking of things. So if people have questions or want more information, please never hesitate to reach out, because we love being able to walk alongside other families during this journey.
Okay. And
All right.
again, we always say, if you have questions, excuse me, you can get a hold of Del or I on our website and just
Right.
hit that contact button and ask a question. So if you have a question for Lisa that you don't want to put on her Instagram page,
Yeah.
just reach out to us.
Okay.
All right. Well, I
Well,
think
thanks
that's a
again.
wrap. We
All
thank
right.
you for
Well,
tuning in. Thank you again, Lisa. God bless you and your family.
All right. I'll see you next
Bye.
week.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.